Janet, are you good? Good evening, everyone. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, December the 8th, 2022, 6 p.m. I'd like to invite Danny Lance from True Life Church come forward, provide our invocation and lead us in our pledge, if everyone will stand.
Heavenly Father, we are so thankful, particularly this time of year when we think of the great gift of love that a Heavenly Father gave up His Son for us. And so we celebrate that this time of year. But Lord, we're also thankful for these leaders of our community, for the wisdom and for the great effort they've shown in the last year. I pray, Lord, your blessing over them. Tonight, Lord, I pray you give them wisdom. I pray you give them empathy for those, Lord, that they serve. And at the same time, Lord, you give them the courage to make even the hard decisions if they're the right decisions. I pray your blessings over this meeting in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Mayor Williams,
Here.
Vice Mayor Chauncey.
Here.
Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Helton.
Here.
Councilmember Witt.
Here.
Interim City Manager Miller.
Here.
City Attorney Litchford.
Here.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the Employee Milestone Awards for November the 22nd. This is a special award that we provide milestones awards for our city employees. We have one that had a milestone in November of 2022. It's Darian McKibben, 5 years, so we appreciate his service to our city and to our citizens. And he will be we'll be making a check presentation and the award probably later this next week. All right, the next item we have is I have a pleasure of doing the oath of honor for 2 new police officers. So, Chief, if you'll come forward with the officers. Now, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. On my honor, I state your name.
My honor, John.
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always have the courage to hold myself
I will always have the courage to hold myself
and others accountable for our actions.
and others accountable for our actions.
I will always uphold the Constitution
I will always uphold the Constitution
and the community I serve.
and the community I serve.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Let you know, Officer McLeod and Officer Mueller graduated from the Blount County Regional Police Academy. Talking to their instructors up there, they seem to be rather impressed with our hires. They said they both did very well and should serve our city very well in the future.
All right, the next item we have is the Christmas Parade Awards. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I would like to invite council down to help me hand out their awards, if you don't mind. You wanna stand in the front? I just figured it'd be easier for me to talk. In the education piece, this year for the parade, by the way, my name is Shauna Schuyler, I'm the Parks Director, and I have the privilege this year to run the Christmas parade, along with my son Justin and fellow city employees. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everybody that came and participated. This year in the education piece, the Cub Scout Pack 3007 took third place. Would you give them up tonight? And if anybody doesn't know Dan, he's actually coached rec soccer down there for about 10 years for me at Camp Jordan. He's been a pleasure to work with. And they actually had a handmade train that ran in the parade, which was phenomenal. So thank you so much, sir. Sorry. Next, second place in the education piece, went to Girl Scout Troop 40744. These ladies had a handmade float, and it was phenomenal. And I want to thank every one of you for coming out and participating in our parade. Ms. Esther has y'all's award. Yeah, do y'all want to kneel right in front of everybody? And then we'll get pictures? Oh, they're short, I can get it. Thank you, ladies, so much. And first place in the education piece went to Bellwood Christian Academy. You all did a phenomenal job. I'm going to, I'm going to, our Vice Mayor, Mr. Chauncey, can do your report. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. This year in the overall parade, we had a first, second, and third place winner. So at this time, I will let council member Table call out who got third place for us.
Action Church of East Ridge. Thank you, sir.
Daniel, I just want to let you know how much the city of East Ridge appreciates everything that your church does for us. And it's been a pleasure getting to know your church and yourself. to
They were not notified to show up.
because I called to make sure.
Well, I'll let them know. Thank you.
The first place award goes to District City Library. Addie, I want to tell you personally in front of everybody, the work that you did at our fall festival, when your booth was lined up for a solid 8 hours tattooing, face painting, and then the work that you ladies put in on the clothes, is amazing. So thank you so much for what you did right here.
I have the pleasure of doing an award for a very special young man. And this young man has worked with the parade for the last 16 years. And also, this is his 28th birthday. So if Justin Young would come up here, I'm very honored.
And thank you for the amazing parade and all that you do in the park. I really appreciate you and your staff and all of your.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, the next item is the presentation of the fiscal year 2022 audit by HHM. Maybe one, oh, yeah, there you go, pull that around so we can hear you.
I'm Garrett Williams with HHM CPAs. I'm going to try to keep it brief, go over this massive thing of financials, turned it into a more reasonable 6-page slide, so don't want to keep y'all here all night. So first page, we kind of just go over some required communication we need to have with the council. First of all, we had a clean opinion, unmodified report, which is a good thing. So our responsibility under U.S. Generally Accepted Auditing Standards is to obtain or audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards, and to perform our audit to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatements, and to do this in accordance with U.S. GAAP. Because we are not here to obtain absolute assurance, there is a risk that a material misstatement could occur and not be detected. We are required to be independent of the city, and we met all of these requirements. The plan, scope, and timing of the audit, this was outlined in the engagement letter, and we performed the audit in accordance with the plan scope. Significant accounting policies, these are discussed in note 1. It's all pretty similar, except this year the new standard GASB 87 was in place, where now you record leases as an asset and liability on the books. I won't get into all those details. So Accounting estimates, this is pretty straightforward. From year over year, we have OPEB, pension. We now have the lease asset liabilities and all your capital assets and depreciation. The management and accounting staff, it's always a pleasure working with Diane and her team. We never really have any issues getting stuff from them while we're out here for the audit. Consultations with other accountants, we weren't aware of any other consultations with other accountants. Corrected, uncorrected misstatements. We did not propose any significant adjustments, and there were no uncorrected misstatements. Deficiencies in internal control or compliance, there was one significant deficiency related to reconciling fire department payroll. We've outlined the audit finding related to this on page 79 of the financials, and we also have attached management's corrective action plan related to this finding, and you'll see that on page 81 of the financials. Fraud and illegal acts, we weren't aware of any fraud or illegal acts during the audit. Difficulties encountered in the audit, we didn't have any difficulties during our audit. The representation letter, the representations requested from management are stated in the management's representation letter. Significant matters discussed with management. We discussed the significant deficiency and what all was related with that. Other than that, no other significant matters discussed. Moving into financial highlights. So we have all the major funds and the non-major funds grouped together on this sheet showing total assets, liabilities, and the remaining fund balance for each of those. One thing to note, general fund, which is your main fund that most of your operations are occurring within, it had a good fund balance of $8.9 million as of 6/30/2022. Found that this is related to increases in sales tax and other things that occurred throughout the year. City of Eastridge is obviously growing a lot over these last couple of years, so we'd expect that to have increased from prior year. The American Rescue Plan Act Fund is a new fund this year. And it's got $3.1 million sitting in fund balance as of the end of the fiscal year. This money's kind of bookmarked for future projects, so it just hasn't been spent yet. The remaining funds are fairly comparable from prior year, and nothing big sticks out of those. Governmental funds, statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Again, we have the major funds showing revenues, expenditures, and then the net change for the fiscal year. For the general fund, we show increase in fund balance of $3.1 million from the prior year, and again, a lot of that is increase in sales tax dollars from prior year. I imagine the new Red Wolves and all that activity has probably helped with that, so that's nice. The American Rescue Plan Act, again, it's had a positive change of $3 million, and that's federal grant money that came in that will be spent on projects in the subsequent years. And Capital Project Fund, it had a decrease in fund balance of roughly $500,000. There was a lot of projects that went on this last year. I think Splash Pad was one of the big ones, but it looks really nice over here, so, but that's why there was a decrease in fund balance in that fund. The next slide, general fund budgetary highlights. So instead of going over the budgets for all the funds, we just stuck to the main one, general fund. One thing to note is revenues. Actual revenues were $2 million higher than what we budgeted for, so that is really good. Did better than we thought. And then looking at the expenditures, all the major categories of expenditures, our actual expenditures came in under budget. So I think doing a really good job budgeting for all the programs and everything that's going on. So overall, we had a positive variance between budget and actual of $3 million. So that's good. And then lastly, we like to kind of like analyze the general fund balance, compare it to a year's worth of expenditures just to see how long you could fund your government expenditures with the fund balance you have. So fund balance as of June 30th, 2022 was 8.9 million. Total expenditures for the year, including transfers, were 22 million. So this calculates to roughly 4.5 months worth of expenditures that could be covered with the fund balance if you had nothing coming in. Previously, we recommended 2 to 4 months worth of a fund balance to cover expenditures. Now we're kind of shooting more towards 4 to 6 months with how everything's happened lately, but their fund balance is still within this range, so it is a healthy fund balance. And I believe that is it. If anybody has any questions?
Comments? Comments, questions? I see none. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
I do want to thank my department, Finance and Administration, and also each department head. They worked really good on their their expenditures and everything. So it was a full city, took everybody. So I appreciate every one of the department heads, and like I said, my department is full of really good, dedicated people.
And we appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you, staff, all the department heads for all the work that they put in on the budgets and all the things that go on with the audit afterwards. So now you're getting ready for budget for next year. It's a never-ending cycle.
I've already got I have 2 folders. One is things upcoming in the budget, and I have my audit file for anything that's happening this year.
All right, we'll move to the next item, which is the consent agenda. I assume everyone's had an opportunity to review the minutes of the November 10th, 2022 council meeting, the minutes of the November 14th, 2022 called meeting, the August financial report, and the September 2022 financial report. I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Vice Mayor Chauncey and a second by Councilmember Whitt. Do we have any discussion, corrections? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item 5, communications of citizens. This is an opportunity for any citizen to come forward and address the council with any comments, questions, or accolades. No one signed in, but if there's anyone in the audience, now's your time if you'd like to come forward. You have 5 minutes. I see no one, so we'll move on to communication for council members. I'll start on this side. Councilmember Witt.
I would just like to tell everybody to have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Councilmember Hilton.
Same thing. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Looking forward to a bright future in 2023.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Councilmember Cagle.
No, sir, just to ditto the Merry Christmas and see y'all next year.
Well, we'll see some of us
Yeah.
next Monday. Okay, so, again, congratulations to the award winners for the Christmas parade. It was a great event. It was one of the largest parades that we'd had in the history. So it was very exciting to have that. Some of the things I wanted to mention, upcoming, if you're interested in a challenge, East Ridge City Library is hosting their annual Winter Read Challenge starting this week. Participants are encouraged to pick up reading logs from one of the librarians during the operational hours, and for each book you read, your name will be entered into a drawing for weekly prizes. Our library is amazing, as we mentioned earlier, and we support it, and they do an amazing job and interact tremendously with our citizens and with our city. Wanted to also mention East Ridge Parks and Rec Department is hosting a mistletoe market at Camp Jordan Arena December the 10th from 10 to 5 and the 11th, December the 11th from 10 to 4. We have over 150 vendors. It's going to be out in Camp Jordan at the arena. Wanted to mention that we have our inauguration ceremony on December the 12th at 6 p.m. We will be, Mr. Cagle was reelected. He will be taking the oath for a council member. We also have a newly council member, David Tyler, will be taking the oath, and as well as myself. So if you can attend at 6 p.m., there'll be refreshments afterwards, and that is this coming Monday, the 12th. Thursday, December the 15th, from 5 to 8, East Ridge Community Center. Come decorate cookies with Mrs. Claus, and then hang out with Santa as well. Your mission is they ask that you just bring and donate one item for the East Ridge Food Pantry. And then Santa Claus is coming to town. East Ridge Food City on December the 17th from 12 to 4 is that event. Santa and Mrs. Claus will be taking time out of their schedule to help the East Ridge Community Food Pantry collecting canned food and non-perishable items. So bring items to help Santa stuff his sack and visit with Santa. And they say if you haven't mailed your letter to Santa, you can bring it with you. Then we also wanted to mention the entire month of December, our Animal Services is actually doing an adoption, free adoption. So if you're interested in adopting an animal, please contact the shelter at 423-664-0271. And yep, there's that flyer. And then, again, yes, wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And with that, also, I would like to welcome Interim City Manager Scott Miller. Welcome back. He was here for a few years when I served on council and then retired, and he has graciously stepped back in to help in an interim position, and we look forward to working with you and appreciate you being here on the council with us. Now I'll turn it over for you.
Thank you. I'm on. Everybody here? Okay. Just a couple updates I want to provide to you. Leaf pickup. We're moving slowly on that one. We're out at the northwest part of the city, north of Ringgold Road, and moving east. Unfortunately, for the past several days, with all this rain we've had, I've had to pull several of our crew members off of the leaf collection and put them over to storm drainage, cleaning out some of these storm drainage to keep some of these areas from flooding out. So if you know of any of these, please give City Hall a call and we'll get on top of that right away. We're expecting a new leaf vac any day now, the new one coming in, but you know the supply chain problems we're having. It's everybody, so it could come tomorrow, it could come after Christmas. We're hoping that it will be sooner than later. Second item I want to talk about is a multimodal program. This is the Ringgold Road, sidewalks, storm sewers. We had a meeting today with the contractor's tally on this project. With the rain we've had for the past week and a half, very little, if any, work has been being completed out there. However, we are on top. The crew's ready to get in there once it starts drying up a little. The two major hurdles that we have right now are at the intersection of Ringgold Road and Moore Road and Ringgold Road and McBrien Road. Got to understand that the infrastructure, specifically being the inlets and the storm sewer piping, is over 60 plus years old. It has deteriorated to the point where a lot of it needs to be replaced. We'll be looking at those change orders later on this agenda. We need to get those big excavated holes that you see when you drive by repaired before Tally can continue the work on that. There was some talk about start to move ahead on the north side of Ringgold Road at McBrien. We are going to hold off on doing that and probably until the second or third week in January at the earliest. We're trying to get, if we can get some dry weather to come in next week, then we want to try to get moving on the south side and get concrete poured. If the temperature is 40, 50 degrees higher or 50 degrees or higher, we can get that done. We certainly want to do our best to get on the south side to Merrill going west by Christmas. If this rainy weather keeps on, we're not going to make that benchmark, but we're moving on that project. We will be working, they will not be working, I'm sorry, be the Monday after New Year's and the Friday before Christmas. All the other times, if the weather's good, they'll be out there working, doing what they need to do. A paving update, give you a progress report on that. Tally is ready to begin as soon as possible, or as soon as the break in the weather. And we have 3 or 4 days to get a dry out. And the daytime temperature has to be in the 50s or above. So the days when you get up in the morning at 6:37 and it's 30, 35 degrees outside, don't think you're going to see any pavers around the city. But certainly by noon, when it warms up to 50 to 55 degrees, we hope to see pavers out there in the dry weather. So they only need 5 to 7 days to complete the resurfacing job. This year, we awarded it to Tally in an amount not to exceed $1 million. So we'll do $1 million this year, and then starting in January, February, I will be working with Public Works and with ASA Engineering to prepare our road resurfacing program for next year. I want to make this my best to get back onto an annual basis where we are resurfacing $1 million or more every year. Our roads need it.
Amen.
Last one is North Mac Smith Road regarding the entrance off of Ringgold Road. I say right now, give you an update, we're still in the appraisal process to acquire the necessary right-of-way to widen that. I can't give you a timetable on that only because we got about 10 or so properties involved, and the negotiations are ongoing right now. And if we can get all 10 within a reasonable period of time, then we can get the project moving ahead. That's about all I can say right now, because it's all going to depend on how we can get our hands on the necessary right-of-way to widen it. And Mayor and Council, that's all I have. So if you have any questions you want to pose to me at this time?
I have one. All right, on that multi-module change order, I've noticed down at the corner of Stone Street and McBrien, up next to the telephone pole there, where someone has been digging out around that drainage there. Is that part of this change order?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going down, McBrien is the most expensive one that we have, and that's because we're doing thank you for bringing that up. We have to go down McBrien to tie in that system with the existing system going south on McBrien Road. Now, I will say that these change orders are high. We're talking about $357,000. However, we are planning, if they are approved tonight and we pay Tally Construction, they'll go out there and start work as soon as possible on those two. But we will be submitting reimbursements from the Tennessee Department of Transportation, and hopefully, if not all of them, a good portion of them within Ringgold Road and then within the right-of-way. I'm not so sure they're going to agree with going all the way down McBrien, as you mentioned. But if we can get a good portion of that reimbursed, the only problem is dealing with TDOT on change orders, reimbursement of change orders. It's a 2 or 3 month process to go through, and I can't hold up the developer that long, or the contractor that long to get approval from them. So Thank you for bringing that up.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. All right, we'll move to the next item. Actually, there is no old business, so we'll move to item 9, new business. So item A, public hearing for ordinance number 1177.
This is public hearing, ordinance 1177, rezoning of 664, 678, and 691 Layfield Road from R1 residential to R3 residential apartment district.
Thank you, sir. I will open up this public hearing for ordinance number 1177. Would the applicant or representative like to come forward and briefly discuss this request?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, thank you. Kenny Custer, 714 Cherry Street, AC Engineering. Yes, so this project is Layfield Road, 664, 678, 692 Layfield, rezoned from R1 to R3. We did have this in front of the Planning Commission. It was unanimously approved. We had a little bit of discussion in there. Looking at the ordinance that was presented today, I believe the vote in the Planning Commission was that they would approve it to R3. We asked for a condition to be added to that, so we want to make sure that that language gets in the ordinance to where it's not for apartment complex, because that's not the intent of this development. This intent is a townhome, single family, utilizing the R3 zone. We understand that we're just under an acre, but just under an acre, you get 10,000 square foot for the first building and then 2,000 square foot for each additional unit. So we can actually do detached or attached townhomes. We plan on using the HPR, the horizontal property regime, where there'll actually be a lot of amenities that are owned by the homeowners association. So your parking, your landscaping, your stormwater, everything's maintained through the homeowners association. So they'll have regular yard cuts, regular maintenance, regular paving schedules within their development, all scheduled and all maintained through that homeowners association, which will all be recorded within the initial deed. So the developer, most of you all familiar with, EPG Homes, Mr. Evan Green, he bought his first home here at about 700 square feet at 19 years old. Since then, he's built around 67 homes in the city of East Ridge. He's done Blackhawk, done a lot of infill development in the city. This is another amenity that he's willing to add and wanting to add. He loves building and developing and out here in East Ridge. These units that, he's looked at doing a common parking area instead of garage, because if he can save that, $40,000 on garages, then he can, pass that savings on to homeowners and hoping that he can hit, a mid 200s price point, 250, 260, give or take. Now, we all know things are changing rapidly, but that's what we hope. We also had a community meeting. The community meeting went well. We were able to talk to a lot of the neighbors, hear some of their concerns. The developer is willing to make any accommodation he needs to make that happen. So if you would mind me approach, I would like to go ahead and give you all some of these packets. You can pass it around. It's just more information on the development. Yes, and Mr. Litchford, we can discuss whatever language to make that look like whatever it needs to be cleaned. We just wanted to make sure that when we were zoning R3, we know that this developer doesn't build apartments, the owner doesn't build apartments, they don't do rental property. They want to build single family, but just build it as a townhome development. But being able to utilize a current zoning that we have that's a bit outdated, but we're able to work within within that section of the zoning code. But adding that condition on there would be great.
Let me ask, Mr. Howell, if the condition is just simply subject to no apartments, that accomplishes what Mr. Custer, I think, if I understand, limited just to no apartments. We're not impacting his ability to do the townhomes the way they've described it. They've got the email of September 19 in here. But I want to make sure if there's a motion that subject to no apartments, we're not impacting what they're trying to achieve. And we're
Correct.
still complying with the zoning.
Yes, and it would be complying with the zoning. Like Kenny just said with the HPR, basically what that does, it just eliminates lot lines. You won't have any lot line. It's a one huge lot, common property. Everybody shares it at that point, so yeah.
I can remember, I believe the planning commission made that statement, so we're just incorporating that in.
That's
this
correct, Mr.
submission.
Miller. It just didn't make it into that document, so I wanted to make sure, because other people have probably seen that it wasn't mentioned in that ordinance, and I wanted to make sure it didn't get missed.
All right. Thank you. All right, so this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone that is in favor of or opposed to, now's your opportunity if you'd like to come forward and address the council regarding this rezoning request. I see no one, so I'll close this public hearing, and we'll actually then move into the ordinance, item B, ordinance number 1177.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located at 664, 678, and 691 Layfield Road, tax map number 170J-B-004.02, 004.03, and 004.06 from R1 Residential District to R3 Residential Apartment District.
And would we add the restriction in that, or in the motion that comes forward?
Yeah, we need to have a
In the
motion to
motion,
approve.
okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1177.
I'll make a motion that we approve with the conditions that we exclude the use of apartments in it.
Second.
Thank you both. We've got a motion to approve with the condition by Vice Mayor Chauncey and a second by Councilmember Helton. Do we have any discussion? Yes, sir.
Is this going to be a commercial garbage pickup, or is it going to be city pickup?
So with it being a homeowners association, depending on the number of units, because it'll be a private drive, so we could still potentially do city, but we have to lay out the whole site plan to make sure that's going to work. If not, it'll go commercial pickup. There's been two options that's been discussed already, but it was brought up during our community meeting, and we told them we would weigh the options and see what was going to work out and what was going to be best.
Any other questions? See none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Helton.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Ordinance 1177 passed first reading.
Thank you all.
Thank you. We'll move to item C, the public hearing for ordinance number 1178.
This is for the rezoning of the 6,000 block of Grayston Avenue from R1 Residential District to R3 Residential Apartment District.
Thank you, sir. I will open up this public hearing for ordinance number 1178. Do we have someone, representative, come forward, state your name?
Good evening, council members. I'm Tiffany Farley. I'm with AD Engineering. This is Ethan Collier. He is the developer. We're requesting the rezoning for 4.4 acres on Graston Avenue. It is currently undeveloped. It is bordered on the north and the west by Peck Drive, which is the hospital, basically. We're bordered on the south by single-family detached. We have commercial, and we also have church property to our east. There was a question in the zoning about whether the recent closure of Peck Drive would affect this development. It does not. We are not accessing Peck Drive. Our access will be on Graston Avenue and John Arnold, straight to Spring Creek. We believe that this R3 zoning is compatible with the area. There's a mixed use in that area. There's also an R3 zone approximately 500 feet from where we are. This is adjacent to the hospital. It's adjacent to the medical offices, and it's also pretty close to the stadium. So we believe that it will allow the area to have a more diverse housing options.
Thank you. All right, at this time, if there's anyone that is in favor or in opposition, now's your opportunity to come forward. I see no one. I will close this public hearing, and we'll move to the actual ordinance. Item D, ordinance 1178.
An ordinance of the City Council, the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map for the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located in the 6,000 block of Graston Avenue, tax map number 169C-C-001.02, from R1 Residential District to R3 Residential Apartment District.
Thank you, sir. I will entertain a motion for ordinance number 1178.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion approved by Vice Mayor Chauncey and a second by Councilmember Whitt. Do we have any discussion? Yes, sir.
I've got 4 questions here, but one of them is just a statement. They do know it's in the flood zone because of the RPA I've read, okay? Then I'd like to know how much fill they're gonna bring in.
A lot.
Yes.
Okay,
12 foot, is that what I heard in the planning? Was that about right, 10 to 12?
It'll be about that, yes.
okay, so you're gonna bring in 10, 12 foot of fill, now how are we gonna maintain the water that you're bringing in to put this up here? The asphalt's gonna bring in and the water that's already in the flood zone there.
We'll have underground detention on the site. We've done that in other areas, in other properties in the city. It's been extremely successful, and we'll do the same thing on this property.
We're gonna put an underground thing under 10 foot? 10 foot deep?
It gives us a lot of
4 by
storage.
4 acres. Because you're gonna have to fill it all in, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, I don't know who this question should go to, but is this gonna overload our sewer system on that end of East Ridge with what's already going on across the street? This 95 units plus what's already going on across the street? So is this gonna overload our sewer system down on that end?
My name's Wyatt Weeham with AD Engineering also. We're working with WFTA to get sewer capacity approval through them. It is in a moratorium area, but they do have credits available to make sure it doesn't get overloaded. So we can only add to it what they'll allow us and what they can handle.
They have proposed 3 buildings on there. If they can only build 1 building, they'll do that and wait till sewer becomes available, sewer capacity becomes available to build their second or third. But they've been working with the WWTA hand in hand on that.
We won't be able to do any more than they actually will allow us to anyway. They'll tell us if they can take what we're proposing, and if not, they'll tell us what they will allow, what they've got the capacity to take. But until they give us that, we can't really do anything anyway. Can't hook to the sewer until they say yeah.
Can't build more than that.
And so y'all don't have any idea now how many buildings y'all are gonna be able to build?
Not at this point in time. Once WWTA tells us how many credits they'll allow us, we'll know when we can bring the buildings online. And it may be that it's pushed out. If they don't have enough credits right now, we may just build the first building. And then once additional credits come online, we'll build the second building. So that exactly what you said, it won't overflow the system.
Okay. And you just made the statement, you are gonna use John Arnold as the entrance and exit
One of them, yes.
and Graston.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying there's gonna possibly be when this is all built, there's gonna be 180 vehicles going in and out of that because you're allowing 2 parking spaces?
Currently on site, we have 2.3 spaces per unit. We're not gonna have any more than 2 bedrooms in the units. They're just gonna be 1 and 2 bedrooms. We're not gonna have 3-bedroom units.
Which roughly gonna be 180 more automobiles to the neighborhood?
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully, some of the people will be working right there at the hospital or at the stadium, and it'll be an easy commute.
I got a phone call today about the parking lot of the church. They are concerned about, because they've seen it so many feet up in toward their church when it floods there. So I told them from what I've heard about what y'all were gonna do, that shouldn't be no problem, which I hope it don't.
We do too.
So, okay, so. I asked Mike Howell about my other question about John Arnold, so he satisfied my mind on that. Not John Arnold, but Peck Drive, so, okay. I'm through, thank you.
Thank you. Any other
Council,
questions?
just hold there for a second. Just to make note, this young lady here actually designed the underground retention for Honda Power Sports. Oh, you did? You did? Okay. I know. So what I'm saying is in talking to the COO, they did a great job over there to be able to contain it, and they'll be doing the same thing here. So they've got experience in our city building these underground retention basins, which is good to know.
I've seen the water down there from my past experience.
I do, yes, I have too.
Anything else?
Mayor,
Yes,
before
sir.
we take the roll call, I would like to say that I'm excited about this project, and I think it's a perfect use for this area. And one thing that wasn't mentioned, that this was unanimously approved by the East Ridge Planning Commission.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes,
Councilmember Helton.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Ordinance number 1178 passed first reading. We'll move to item E, resolution number 3331.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving the execution and delivery of a development agreement with Darsh Hospitality LLC relating to a project in the Border Region Retail Development District and authorizing certain actions relating thereto.
Yes, sir.
Members of the council, mayor, this, first of all, I got an email today from the representative of Darsh, had an I think his mother passed, so he could not be here tonight. He did want me to express his appreciation for what the IDB unanimously voted to approve a development agreement with respect to the property. This property is located at 6674 Ringo Road. It's on that southernmost portion of that, kind of those three hotels there across from Camp Jordan. This is going to be a Baymont, which through the incentives provided in the Border Region allows them to basically gain the approval of the flagship Baymont Inn and Suites so that they can improve the current hotel that does not have any sort of a flagship associated with it. So you're going to get an improved motel or hotel here. The expected amount for the investment period on this one, you should have, or that was provided at the IDB meeting, excuse me, the expected is around close to $3.5 million was what they were expecting. And so the proposal was a 65-35 split. And for this portion here, what it would go out to be then that they would receive an amount of around $2 million to Darsh Hospitality based on what their projected Border Region sales were for this 24-year period. And the city would receive around a $1.1 million in this same period. So the total cap on this obviously is what we look at the aggregate, and the developer would receive 65% of that, and the city would receive the other 35%.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3331.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 3331.
A motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Helton. Do we have any discussion? I see none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
yes,
Councilmember Helton.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3331 pass. We'll move to item F, resolution number 3332.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the City of East Ridge subdivision regulations, Article 1, General Provisions, and Article 3, Design Standards, Section 302, Streets, Section 302.2.6, Width of Existing Streets, to be in compliance with Tennessee Public Chapter 1128.
Thank you. And before you start, Mr. Howell, I would like to say officially, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So Mayor and Council, from time to time, the state of Tennessee updates their TCA codes. This is no different than the one that we did in October with Chapter 994. Basically, what this Chapter 1128, it amends Sections 13.3, 403, and adds right-of-way dedication and width of existing streets to the East Ridge subdivision regulations. And with that being said, Chapter 1128 basically reaffirms federal and state constitutions prohibition in the taking clause of the Fifth Amendment in the United States Constitution as well as the Tennessee Constitution against taking private property for public use without just compensation. And that's all it is about.
Short and sweet. Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3332.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Vice Mayor Chauncey and a second by Councilmember Helton. Do we have any discussion? See none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Helton.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3332 passed. We'll move to item G, resolution number 3333.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the East Ridge subdivision regulations, Article 1, General Provisions, Article 2, Subdivision Procedures, and Article 6, Definitions.
Once again, this is, Mayor and Council, once again, this is another TCA code update, amending sections 13.4.101 through 13.4.310, which revises plat submittal requirements. Of course, we all know COVID really interrupted the chains of everything, and it did with RPA as well. So normally they would take, paper plats. Now they have moved to, electronic plats now. So they're updating that as well, so they reflect in our subdivision regulations.
Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3333.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 3333.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Helton. Do we have any discussion? See none. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Helton.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3333 passed.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, sir. We'll move to item H, resolution number 3334.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, canceling the second meeting in the month of December 2022.
Thank you, sir. Normally, this is not in our charter to say that Thanksgiving is the second meeting, which is the fourth week in November. However, the December second meeting is not in there. So if there is a consensus, if we'd like to cancel that being a few days before Christmas, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3334.
Number 3334.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Helton and a second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Helton.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution number 3334 passed. We'll move to item I, resolution number 3335.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the interim city manager to approve the attached change order request number 2 from Tally Construction, Inc. in regard to additional storm sewer work as part of the multimodal project.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, we have Jeff Sykes, who is our engineer on this project. He wants to give us an update on this.
Good evening, Council. In summary, Jeff Sykes, Ace Engineering, 714 Cherry Street, Chattanooga. In summary, we started this project many years ago in the design phase, began searching for records for the storm sewer system in East Ridge, going through all of TDOT's records down at the Region 2 office, and then at the time meeting with Kenny to figure out what records the city of East Ridge had, and found very little. So we knew that we were going to run into some issues once you start digging and looking to see what's there, what the survey doesn't pick up. We would, find storm sewer interceptors, sanitary sewer, lots of different things underground. And we discovered, basically, our survey picked up a drainage network down near Moore and at McBrien, and they led to what was a blind junction box under the road that didn't have a lid. Once we discovered where it went, we realized that the storm sewer that we had would be dumping into a 12-inch pipe, which is undersized. So what we're proposing to do is to relay that storm sewer system, upgrade it to handle the storm drainage, and take it down McBrien as one section and dump it out at the culvert, the bridge crossing right there at McBrien near the shopping center, and then some improvements at Moore Road as well. We have existing items basically for all of the structures and the storm drain pipes, so the negotiation of the pricing really is contract items that we have. The only thing that we are having to add to it is basically some additional traffic control that would be added into it. So the total for both sections comes out to about $357,000. I think you have the totals in front of you. It's work that's necessary. We looked at options on how we could tie the system in and make it function with a smaller pipe, but the reality is that, you know, you risk things getting hung up in the pipe, and also, you know, during heavy rain events, backing that drainage up and the floodwaters getting out into the road, and then if that happens, then you have, you know, concerns with traffic safety. This, you know, moving forward with this is an amount that we're going to go back to TDOT and basically say this is necessary because it does tie into the state right-of-way. I'm sure we'll go back and forth with them on whether they'll pay it or not, but our hope is to get TDOT to reimburse the multimodal percentage, which I think is 90% TDOT and then 10% the city.
Jim, now this is going that way to McBrien, turning right on McBrien, going toward Georgia.
Correct.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Now, how far past Stone Street are we going?
Where do you know?
Okay, so both of those manholes that are there at Stone Street or storm drains, there's one by the telephone pole, somebody's been digging around. Then there's one out in the middle of the road,
Yeah, so there's existing drainage that's there that's got to be replaced that we got to connect to, and so you have drains in the radius. Corey's the construction manager out there, so I'll let him speak to it.
Yeah, Corey Hogghead, Ace Engineering, project manager for this project. The city is actually who cleaned out that drain for us, because we were trying to find out. And you've got two curb inlets down there. One of them actually runs underneath the church. We have no idea where it goes. And we're wanting to turn down McBrien and run all the way down behind that strip mall there and tie into that concrete culvert that is in there. That way we can minimize, or we can eliminate any flooding that happens in that area.
now is that the one that's actually running under the church?
No, past the church,
Okay.
past the strip
okay.
mall.
Okay.
There's an open three-sided or two-sided culvert down there and tie into that culvert.
I just want to be sure that it's Stone Street was going to be took care of.
Yes, sir.
All right. I will entertain a motion for resolution number 3335.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 3335.
A motion approved by Councilmember Witt and a second by Councilmember Hilton. Do we have any discussion? And to your point about the narrowing of the pipe, I believe we said in discussions on that, and it's actually going like to 16 inch to 12. So that's the concern is
We've got-
to replace that. That really needs to be placed to prevent the flooding you're discussing.
Yes, sir. We've got, actually, on the north side of Ringgold Road, we're running 24 inch, and then on the
24.
south side, we're running 18 inch.
Okay.
And once we got down there, we realized that there's 18 inch existing, but it ties into a 12 inch there
Okay.
at McBrien.
I thought it was 16 to 18, so it's even worse. You got an 18
Yes,
going
sir.
into a 12. Yeah, that don't work going downhill.
And
So
that's,
this will improve the drainage in that area, and a lot of the pipe was stopped up as well.
TDOT, they come out and shoot that
they're there.
line
They
as
came out
discussed.
earlier this week, and they were out there again today cleaning out those pipes.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Chauncey,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes,
Councilmember Helton,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Resolution 3335 pass. All right, we'll move to item I, discussion of the tentative agenda for January 12th. Council meeting, it states the 22nd. However, we canceled that, so we will move, I believe that's correct, it's 12th? Yes, okay. So, underneath, for the tentative agenda for the 12th would be under old business, ordinance number 1177. The ordinance of the City of Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee to amend the zoning regulation and zoning map of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, so to rezone the property located at 664, 678, and 691 Layfield, tax map 170J-B-004-02, 004-0.03, and 004.06 from R1 Residential District to R3 Residential Apartment District. And that also has that, that restriction for no apartments. That will be the second and final reading. Do we have any discussion on that, council? See none. The next item under old business is ordinance number 1178, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee to amend the zoning regulation and zoning map of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located at 6000 block of Graston Avenue, tax map 169C-C-001.02 from R1 Residential District to R3 Residential Apartment District. This is the second and final reading. Any questions, council? See none. Item C under old business, resolution, this is a tabled item from November 10th, a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge to approve the appointment of X by Councilmember Helton to the East Ridge Beer Board. Any questions on that? All right. Then under new business, we have unnumbered resolution for the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving the appointment of X for Councilmember Cagle to the East Ridge Library Board. Any questions, sir, or anyone? Then another unnumbered resolution for City Council of the City of East Ridge approving an appointment by Councilmember Witt to the Library Board. Then another unnumbered resolution for the City Council of the City of East Ridge approving the appointment by council to the East Ridge Library Board. So, any discussions on those? We got a lot of appointments. Then item D, another unnumbered resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge approving the appointment by Councilmember Witt to the East Ridge Beer Board to fill an unexpired term for Mr. Tyler, since he will be joining the council. Any questions on any of those? Then the last item would be another unnumbered resolution for the City Council of the City of East Ridge approving the appointment by council to serve as an appointee on the East Ridge Planning Commission. So this is a council appointment for the Planning Commission. Any questions on that? And then, if you didn't notice, there is not a resolution for a mayor's designee. Mr. Miller is rolling off of it, as he was my designee in my position on the planning. Now, with Mr. Miller being the interim city manager, I will just assume the appointment as normal and not put a designee in until such time if Mr. Miller no longer is our interim, then I potentially could appoint him or someone else back as a designee. So just FYI. That's all we have on the agenda for the 12th. Is there any other business?
I will be doing a budget amendment to take care of this change order.
Yes. Anyone else? I see no one. I would like to say thanks to Mr. Chauncey. This is your not your last meeting, but your last council meeting. We appreciate all that you've done for our city and served for 4 years as 2 of them as council member, 2 of them as vice mayor. I appreciate your involvement in our city and on our boards, planning commission chair. So thank you so much for what you've done.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to miss it.
We'll miss you.
I'm not going far.
You're not. You're not. And we know how to get a hold of you as our county commissioner.
He's still going to do some good work
Yes,
for us at the county level.
that's correct. Awesome. Again, wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and this meeting is adjourned.